Periscope is live, everybody. Hang tight, D Live, Facebook. Will YouTube connect? Will it? Yes. What's up, everybody? Twitch is connecting shortly. I am live on TalkStream Live and also JLP Live. Yes, that's right. I am on Jesse Lee Peterson's network. Nice, huh? And of course, this is the Hake Report. It is Monday, November 23rd, 2020. Thanksgiving Day is coming up this Thursday. And then Black Friday. Will companies be in the black this Friday? I don't know. Maybe only Amazon. I remember Amazon took like years to turn a profit, and now they're just destroying everybody. And it's all partly because they're in bed with the government. They're in bed with the Washington Compost, or at least they share the same owner, right? The owner of Amazon bought the Washington Compost and declared that his intent to kill democracy in darkness, well, really kill America in darkness, because America is not a democracy. We're turning into one, which is bad because of so many commies, blind, brainwashed commies. More people voting means more idiots voting, and that's why the Democrats and liberals and dumb corporations, evil corporations, really, not very dumb. Dumb too, but they're evil more than dumb. Support all the idiots voting, all the useful idiots voting. It's ridiculous. And also, of course, everybody knows that. I don't want to say it because I don't want to get banned. It's ridiculous. But some people cheat. And some people get away with cheating more than others because they can cry racism if and when you cheat. I have 2 strikes already, which, whatever. But, come on. I can put things in different ways that are more palatable. Whatever. I'm going to be touching on the Black Rifle Coffee Company. According to Revolver News, they threw Kyle Rittenhouse under the bus. And I kind of tend to agree. Should we throw them under the bus? I was never a patron. But I don't necessarily encourage you guys to, if you are patrons, turning on them, because we shouldn't turn on each other just because you disagree with their marketing decision or whatever you want to call it, PR decision. Seem to be having females and female-minded liberals involved in their company's decisions. There's a female spokesman who said, "Oh, we're not sponsoring Elijah Schaffer anymore." But that turned out not to be true. And she's, "Oh, I was mistaken." We had a talk with him, and he realized he made a mistake. Elijah Schaffer, if you listen to Hake News towards the end of hour 1 of the Jesse Lee Peterson show today, or if you listen to the Jesse Lee Peterson show in either the second or third hour, we covered Black Rifle Coffee Company distancing themselves from Kyle Rittenhouse, who wore a T-shirt that was promoting them. It's ridiculous. I'm going to touch on all that. Drudge headlines are mocking Sidney Powell, and there are blind, brainwashed intellectuals hating Sidney Powell and the people who got excited about her. I don't encourage getting overexcited about Sidney Powell or anything, or assuming that we're going to win with regard to exposing voter fraud and overturning the fake results of the election, which are not final yet. I don't encourage being all, "Oh, we're going to win." We're going to win maybe with God in the end, but we don't know which ways we're going to win and which battles we're going to come out on top in the worldly sense, right? Because this presidential election is really like a worldly situation. And then it's also, like Jesse Lee Peterson says, spiritual. I'm going to be getting to your calls as well, 888-775-3773. I looked up I looked up a term that I wasn't familiar with until a year ago or so, because there has been a whole lot of accusations flying against, "Oh, you hate this such and such certain people," or "You hate this such and such certain people," or "You shouldn't use this slur," or "This is not actually a slur according to these people." That, if that's confusing, hopefully I will get to and explain it later. Joe Biden is trying to pick because he thinks that he won, and all kinds of stuff going on. I heard and I'm happy to find out that Russia and Mexico and Slovenia and Brazil have not, or at least the leaders, so-called leaders, have not formally recognized a winner in the presidential election here in America. Right on. But anyways, guys, thank you to all the supporters. Jesse Lee Peterson hosting this show on D-Live. Let's get on with the show.
1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, it's the Hake Report. The Hake Report. La la la. Oh, it's the Hake Report. The Hake Report. La la la.
Hey, guys!
Oh, it's the Hake Report. The Hake Report. La la la. Oh, it's the Hake Report. The Hake Report. La la la.
So, how is everybody doing? I'm fine. How was your weekend? Mine was great. I can't believe that already it's going to be Thanksgiving. What are you thankful for? I heard that Canadian Thanksgiving was a month ago at some point in October, which Bill, the black engineer here, says weird. But I love Canadians. Some people call them the punks, betas, call them stupid Canadians, but I don't agree with that necessarily, unless they're liberals. Yeah, Bill said that's weird. He muttered it as he was walking away. Yep, it's a fact. But happy belated Thanksgiving to the Canadians. You can be thankful with us this Thursday as well, along with the American Indians, who I heard taught us how to plant corn and stuff. Right on. Thank you. On behalf of the pilgrims who've since died. But I want to touch quickly before I get to Earl and the callers. Yeah, I have Earl already on the line. He wants to address something I said on Friday regarding the election. But I want to talk about this Black Rifle Coffee Company because it's very interesting. It piqued my interest and I'm embarrassed to say this, but like passions, emotions, because it's obnoxious anytime a company or a person or so-called conservative who so-called stands up for what's right is weak after having the opportunity of showing some strength and, I know this is a communist word, but solidarity with people who are for what's right and or people who are innocent. And, you know, it kind of reminds me of the weak company, Chick-fil-A, who are supposedly a Christian company, but they're also a capitalist company. Their president, what's his name? Dan Cathy, I think, or CEO, whatever he was, years back said, guilty as charged when accused of being against same-sex marriage, so-called same-sex marriage, which isn't real. It's a delusion. It's an imitation of real marriage because, you know, the gays, they know they're wrong, but they want to do stuff to play along and be right, pretend like they're right. And they want family and stuff like that. And they're many of them are attracted to, not necessarily sexually, I'm not saying that necessarily, but they're attracted to children because they've lost their innocence. I imagine this. They're attracted to hanging out and helping with children, not necessarily sexually, people. But sometimes, yes. But it's like they've lost their innocence, they don't want it back. And then a whole bunch of people who know gays, oh, we feel sorry for you. You have the right to so-called marry. And this guy says, no, that's not right. But we treat everybody right with regard to our company. They have great customer service. You know, they're college age, young people. I say college age. I kind of hate that term because it's really teenager or early 20s young people fresh out of high school, some of them in high school. Very professional. It's kind of like the people at In-N-Out. They're polite generally, and they're professional in terms of like taking their job seriously, making sure they do right by you. But it turns out that after he said that he's against same-sex marriage, everybody freaked, all the liberals and people who feel sorry for the gays, and many of the radical homosexual gays. Some of the gays are not for marriage in the first place, and they didn't care. But some of them are mean, vindictive people, right? And then so they said, oh, we're going to stay out of politics now. That's that company, Chick-fil-A, fast food company. Supposedly they have good chicken sandwiches. I don't like mayo. But now Black Rifle Coffee Company started a few years ago or several years ago. I don't know when exactly. But they supposedly support the Second Amendment, and they support veterans, military. But apparently they don't support the Second Amendment rights and the presumed innocence necessarily, or just don't want to get involved, of Kyle John Wick, Jack Bauer Rittenhouse, who went to Kenosha, Wisconsin. He lives 15 minutes away across state lines. Crossed the state lines, got a gun from his buddy, a 19-year-old young man who's also charged falsely by a kangaroo court, I say. And he was cleaning up graffiti. He was standing there to defend businesses from getting destroyed by Antifa and Black Lives Matter idiots. Antifa is Black Lives Matter, by the way. They're a part of Black Lives Matter. And Black Lives Matter is effectively the same thing as Antifa. So all of you people that say blank Antifa, you should be saying blank Black Lives Matter too. But some people don't want to do that because, oh, that looks like you're racist against blacks. But he defended himself. He had a medical kit. He was there to help and not hurt. He had a perfect right to be there according to federal law. Any person aged 16 or 17 and old, up to 45 is part of the militia. So he does have the right to carry a gun, notwithstanding whatever the state law says. He was 17. He had the right to, and he was more capable with that gun than probably 99.9% of those of you who listen to this show. And some of you are quite capable with guns. This guy handled himself very well, was very disciplined in not shooting anybody who was not attacking him, and anybody who threatened him, he did not necessarily shoot. He was very disciplined in only shooting the people who were grabbing at his gun, including the skateboard man who got himself shot in the torso. It's on video. And another man, the first man who got himself shot, was seen on camera shouting and threatening at him and saying, "Shoot me, N-word." This white guy. Supposedly white, I don't know. And according to witness testimony, or witness accounts, from including a Daily Caller reporter, independent journalist, Daily Caller, said that guy went and grabbed at his gun, and he went and then blasted him 4 times at least, including grazing his head and just killed him. And he said, I just killed somebody. He called his friend. And that guy did end up dying, but it was a self-defense. It's clear self-defense. And anyways, you should presume innocent unless proven guilty. But the lynch mob doesn't want that. The lynch mob presumes white people. This guy's white. He must be a white supremacist. And I've heard that even like ABC or NBC speculated about that, as if it, with zero evidence. Oh, white supremacist. As if that's even real. So there's so much controversy surrounding it. And I've heard that that Facebook even like censors information about, put out about Kyle Rittenhouse. Like their official policy, I could be wrong, seems to imply that, oh, they think that Kyle Rittenhouse was bad. Have they even watched the videos? The videos show that he's innocent. And they say, oh, why was he out there with a gun anyway? He crossed state lines just to murder people. No. He was there to protect other people. And he ended up having to protect himself because they can't stand the sight of a free white man. It's like a white man who says the N-word uses his freedom of speech, right? But Kyle has more of a reason to carry a gun than anybody has saying the N-word. Who cares if you say the N-word or not? But any freedom, no, not allowed. So they hate him. And Black Rifle Coffee Company is for veterans. And, I just imagine, I don't know, but I imagine that veterans consist of many blacks. There's a whole bunch of blacks who so-called support the Second Amendment for themselves. But yet they'll turn around and accuse whites of racism and kind of undermine the presumed innocence of white people. And there are blacks who are falsely convicted, right? They're disproportionately falsely convicted. Did you know that? Blacks are. False convictions disproportionately affect blacks, just like all crime stats do. Practically all. Especially violent crime. They get away with murder more. Everything affects them more. I've told you guys this. And so maybe there's some blacks and liberal gun rights supporters who presume the worst about Kyle Rittenhouse, so they're pandering to their customer base. And really, their focus is more on Black Rifle Coffee Company. Their focus is more on veterans and that stuff, right? Not so much legal stuff and domestic legal stuff. So whatever. So there's a picture of Kyle Rittenhouse that was tweeted out by Lynn Wood, who is an attorney, who represented, he's helping with the push, the pro-Trump push to fight against voter fraud, suspected voter fraud anyway, right? Lynn Wood. And he also, was he part of, I don't know. I don't know if he was part of the people who fought against the smears against that other white kid, young man, who was harassed by that American Indian activist over in Washington, D.C., those guys from Kentucky, I believe, Covington Catholic boys, who had fun when the Indian activists, American Indian activists, were pounding their drums and they were doing the Atlanta Braves tomahawk chop, right? I don't know if that's Atlanta Braves, but they're having fun with it. Free young white men, being free, being happy, expressing themselves in a fun, harmless way. And they got smeared by the mainstream media. I don't know if Lynn Wood was involved in that case. But Lynn Wood shared this photograph, I have it, of Kyle Rittenhouse wearing a Black Rifle Coffee Company t-shirt. And he's standing next to attorney John Pierce and Ricky Schroeder. Let me see if yeah, there it is. Ricky Schroeder is an actor who supports this young man, and he happens to be wearing the Black Rifle Coffee Company t-shirt. He just happens to have one, right? Kyle Rittenhouse loves the Second Amendment and is a very capable young man at wielding rifles, black rifles. So right on to him, like Black Rifle Coffee Company should be glad. But this guy, there's a whole lot of controversy surrounding this young man, and they don't want to be around any controversy now. Never mind the fact that they're standing up for the Second Amendment, which in itself is controversial. But not as controversial as being white and expressing your Second Amendment right. And so Elijah Schaffer, you guys are familiar with him. He's also the man known as Slightly Offensive. He works for Blaze Media now. And I think that's Glenn Beck's, or it was, or is, or was. Glenn Beck, who's a conservative guy, supposedly. Elijah Schaffer, he's done man on the street interviews. He's a journalist. He got his lip busted by Black Lives Matter or Antifa over in one of these cities where there were riots recently. There's so many, it's hard to keep track. But he shows, he documents riot footage and exposes Antifa a little bit, exposes Black Lives Matter. And he happens to know that Kyle Rittenhouse, as every honest person knows, is innocent. But Kyle Rittenhouse, after he killed 2 people and shot a part of the arm off of a third young man, who was pointing a gun at him, by the way, he's charged with, murder and so-called homicide things. And he had $2 million bail. So this photograph that was tweeted out by Lynn Wood said Kyle is free. Well, free on bail. At last. Free at last. Thank you to the donors, patriots, and God. That's what Lynn Wood tweeted. Because he was charged in a kangaroo court. He was extradited from his state of Illinois to Wisconsin, right? And he was in jail all this time. It's ridiculous. And $2 million bail, as if he's a flight risk or anything. He shouldn't even be charged with anything, honestly. I don't know one crime that he committed. And he had the right to carry that gun, and he had the right to defend himself. And it's Jim Crow against white people. It might be worse than Jim Crow, honestly. It's kind of like, you know, how they say apartheid was bad against blacks over in South Africa. What's going on now is worse than apartheid. So, after Elijah Schaffer tweeted out this picture of Kyle Rittenhouse saying, Kyle Rittenhouse drinks the best coffee in America, because Elijah Schaffer, he's good at marketing. He's like, this is a no-brainer. Kyle Rittenhouse wearing the Black Rifle Coffee Company t-shirt. Kyle Rittenhouse is innocent. There's a whole, everybody knows it. He imagines, right? Well, he also posted a discount code because Black Rifle Coffee Company endorses or is a sponsor of this Blaze Media reporter, Elijah Schaffer. Slightly offensive. The liberals who hate innocent white males freaked out and said, Black Rifle Coffee Company, does this mean you support a murderer and a white supremacist? So the Salt Lake Tribune says this Utah company, it's a Utah company out of Salt Lake City, objects after the Blaze Media reporter ties its coffee to the alleged Kenosha shooter, the 17-year-old young man who was released Friday after supporters raised his ridiculously insane $2 million bail, responding to backlash from idiots who falsely accused Kyle of breaking the law and falsely accusing him of murder and falsely accusing him of being a white supremacist with zero evidence. This guy's just a normal kid of a single mother, but pretty well adjusted. Despite all evidence vindicating his actions, including on video, the supposedly pro-Second Amendment company distanced themselves from Kyle Rittenhouse and from journalist Elijah Schaffer for his benign tweet. A female spokesman for the company stated that on Saturday afternoon that the company was terminating its sponsorship of Elijah Schaffer for sharing this tweet and saying he drinks the best coffee in the world, and here's a promo code for the coffee. But then later she said, oh, I misunderstood. They're not terminating their relationship with Schaffer. We had a conversation with him, and he understands the post was a mistake. That's ridiculous. They have the right to say, oh, we don't want to get involved with that. But they're completely distancing themselves from it and not even giving credence to innocent unless proven guilty. The coffee company's founder and CEO, Evan Hafer, said in a statement that they do not support Kyle or any legal advocacy effort generally. They claim to be for military veterans and advocate for, listen to this, individual liberty and personal responsibility, except for that of an innocent 17-year-old young man, white man, who wore a t-shirt promoting them. Shameful. That would have been great for increasing positive feelings toward their company. And negative, honestly, because there's a whole lot of hatred towards Kyle. But not standing together. So there are some people who are boycotting them after this. And there are better people to boycott, honestly. You can, if you want, you can boycott them. if you were once a customer. But I say, just, I don't know, stick with what you're doing. It's better than buying Starbucks. Starbucks promotes absolute total degeneracy. They really do. So don't be quick to turn on them just because they're cowards. But it is a shame. We've seen a rhino after rhino cowering. I remember being completely disgusted after that guy who pretends he's a Christian. Man, what's his name? He pretended to be a Christian. He ran for president in 2012. He might have even run in 2016, although he was knocked out pretty early. Blanking on his name, but he has kind of like dark brown hair, a little bit curly, but he's like a Rick Santorum. And he's hated for being like, he's like really Christian. You know, kind of that cheesy Christian, but he's really Christian. And I appreciate that about him. But he made the point, you know, I want blacks working. I don't want them on welfare. Something like that. Which is true, which is an honest statement, and that's a right statement. But then he said, he was confronted about that. He said, I didn't say that, I meant something else. Coward. And it reminds me of this ridiculous thing with the voter fraud situation, where, I hate to say it, I only hate to say it because I don't want to get banned, but blacks cheat and lie and steal, and then they call you racist if you catch them, or if you say, hey, wait a minute, something's suspicious around here. That's just because I'm black. You're racist. And they're going to get away with it unless people start calling it out, right? Man, let me refresh my restream chat. Come on. Oh, I know what happened. I didn't log in properly. Anyway, let me get, while I'm logging into the restream chat, man, Earl from Michigan, my second favorite caller, wants to address something I said about the election on Friday. What's up, Earl? How are you doing?
Hola, buenos dias, James Hake.
Hey.
Morning.
Huh? Oh, okay.
You know,
something
first
like
I'm going to touch on being. Fine.
I know more Spanish than you.
But I'm going to touch on the guy Friday out, Craig from Illinois, that called himself addressing me. He just proved how little knowledge he has of politics. His naivety was exposed. You know, talking about the fact, just like a lot of you all, y'all equate crowd size to votes. He thought that an optical picture equates all the folks that's are voting.
Not necessarily.
Just because, that's what I'm saying. You're taking the words right out of my mouth.
No, but you're putting words in his mouth that he didn't say.
Well, I'm saying that because he said he equated that it must be cheating because he equated the crowd size of Donald Trump to Joe Biden, as if that's a criteria of why people vote. Just because
hey, Earl.
some folks...
Earl.
Go ahead.
Let me interrupt you and ask the question. Does crowd size indicate energy for a candidate?
It can indicate energy.
Yep.
But the energy alone doesn't constitute everybody that may or may not vote.
But it's a valid point.
No, but when you use that as proof that his numbers had to be higher because you saw some optical picture of folks voting. For instance, if I asked you, did you attend the Trump rally?
I have not attended any Trump rally.
Did you vote for Trump?
Yes.
So it didn't matter if you attended the rally or not. That's not an indicator of who voted or not. Just like folks that didn't attend Biden's rally doesn't mean they didn't vote for him. You didn't necessarily have to go out to a COVID-driven rally, spreading COVID to yourself, others, and you're bringing it home to your family to
oh dear,
to show support for somebody. You know, some people opted a different way, but they still got the message.
Right. So, but you acknowledge that there was very high energy for Trump. Trump is a very high energy candidate, and the people love him.
Yeah, you can have high energy.
Yep.
You notice, like in the
and Sleepy Joe has no energy.
You notice in the primary, for instance. Now this is this goes on. This has been going on for years, but you notice in the primary, people had large followings at first who had to drop out. Just because you got crowd size, when the vote came in, with the so forth, the person that ended up winning had the least amount of people attending rallies and so forth.
It's possible that's due to voter fraud.
No.
Yeah, it is. How are you going to say it's not possible?
That would indicate that every time someone wins with less crowds, that it must be voter fraud.
No, I didn't say it must be. I didn't say it must be voter fraud. I said it's possible that's due to voter fraud.
And people that
did you know, Earl? Did you know that Sidney Powell, the lawyer who's pushing the idea that Dominion and Smartmatic were part of the voter fraud effort, she says that in 2016, in the primary, the Democrat primary, voter fraud is the reason that Hillary so-called beat Bernie Sanders. She said that on Newsmax TV. I'm not saying she's telling the truth, and I'm not saying she's lying, but that's what's alleged.
Did you know that? The main point is, did she say that in court?
Doesn't matter.
All these conspiracies that she says out in public, did she say it in court?
She hasn't had the chance to yet. She's going to file.
Yes, she did.
Shortly.
The court, in fact,
she hasn't filed on that point.
Listen, in fact, even Donald Trump, who said at first her and Giuliani said that she was their lawyer. I mean, a lawyer with the Trump organization. But after her wild, crazy ideas, even he said, she ain't with me. She ain't my lawyer.
I don't know if he said that. I don't know if he said either of what you're claiming that he said.
Look at the tweets.
I saw the tweets. I didn't see him tweet that.
He has disavowed her, and even she said I
haven't seen him disavow her.
Well, maybe you don't. That don't mean she didn't.
That doesn't mean that he did. You're just making assertions.
Yes, it did.
No.
Just because you don't find it doesn't mean it didn't happen. When you get out there because you don't know something, that it didn't happen.
Because oftentimes you say stuff that's not true.
Like what?
You say stuff that's completely irrelevant.
Well, you say a lot of things. Your whole show is, you say things that's irrelevant and lies.
Well, I'm flattered that you listen anyway.
I listen anyway to correct your foolish butt.
Whoa, don't say the B word. This is a children's show, man. Children
so
friendly.
So what? Button's not a bad word.
Whoa. I just warned you not to say that.
Well, you're behind. Is that better?
Whatever. Anyways, interesting points. Yeah, it doesn't necessarily mean that Biden didn't get more votes, but it's a good indicator that the energy was for Trump and not for Biden. So it
Energy means nothing.
makes us a little bit more suspicious, or all the more suspicious, right? In a country that's so corrupt.
No, because your cowardly president already poisoned the well before votes even began.
Hey, Earl,
He already told his followers that if I lose,
Hey, Earl, we've been talking.
if I lose,
Hold on. I know, I get your point. You're saying, okay, go ahead. I'll let you finish your point since I'm so nice to old people.
right? Thank you.
Yeah.
You young. I'm starting to call you the P word. You young P word.
As in punk?
But you young.
As in punk?
Yeah.
Okay. No, you can say punk. I don't consider that a bad word. I don't even think children.
Okay, punk. Do you feel lucky? But
hey, you bring up a great point. Maybe you weren't a kid were you a kid when Clint Eastwood was making movies?
who?
Clint Eastwood. Were you a kid or a young man? You ever watch Clint Eastwood movies?
Yeah, I watched Clint Eastwood.
Did you consider
I
him?
watched Clint Eastwood before you were born.
Yeah, did you consider him a hero? Did you enjoy him?
I like something. I remember Clint Eastwood back in the Wagon Train.
Yeah.
I bet you didn't know that, did you?
No, I'm not sure what you said exactly, but it sounds old and cool.
I said he played in a series called Wagon Train.
Wagon Train.
Wagon Train.
Okay.
Cowboy movie.
Yeah.
Cowboy series. Back in the 60s or something like that.
And he was somewhat of a hero, right? To you, even.
Well, he was a hero on the show.
Yeah.
Sort of.
Yeah, because
So what's your point?
Because there's a whole lot of blacks nowadays, not you, but there's a whole lot of like modern blacks nowadays who are like, we need to see black heroes on the screen. We can't have white heroes. But it's kind of dumb because it's irrelevant. Like, you enjoyed Clint Eastwood as a man, right? You appreciated him as a man. It didn't matter if he was white or black.
Back then, that's because there was a lack of black heroes in TV.
Did you resent that, or did it not bother you?
In fact,
did it bother you?
Yes, it bothered me. I saw no image of black folks. They only showed them as subservient lackeys.
When did this bother you? When did this start to bother you?
It's bothered me for years.
No, but did it bother you as a young man when you were watching Clint Eastwood?
Yeah, it bothered me.
Really?
But that's why back then, well, I guess you didn't know it, that it was exciting when you finally saw a black on TV that wasn't playing some butler or something stupid.
Why are you so dismissive?
Yeah, the mother. I'm so scared of all this crap.
But those were honorable men too, and women.
No, that's the stereotype that blacks were forced to play. The only roles that they could back then. And so when you had somebody like Sidney Poitier,
yeah,
or Harry Belafonte, who played dignified roles, that was a great change for black folks to see that they didn't only have to be playing, minstrels and all these other stupid people.
But they were perfectly dignified. A butler is perfectly dignified.
To you, but if that's the only thing
working man.
If that was the only thing you portrayed as subservient and showing black women that was only as mamas taking care of white babies.
That's great too.
Nannies.
That's beautiful.
And so forth. Of course you racist pig.
No.
Why don't you do? Why didn't show images of white folks doing that to blacks? I don't think you think that was
Earl, look at how they actually act today, portray themselves in real life and on TV, by the way. They portray themselves worse than working men and women. Drug dealers, criminals, thugs, sluts, the worst people in the world.
The powers that be that ran Hollywood created those images. That was the only thing they could get. The job they could get, you fool. Don't you know anything?
I know, but they... you missed my point. Anyway.
you talk about Kyle Rittenhouse.
Yeah. Well, quick
And so
point.
forth.
Quick point. I'm gonna have to run soon, but quick point about Kyle.
Okay.
Go for it.
Yeah, he violated state law, which you don't. I guess you like somebody else, like Clive Bundy. Don't believe in. Well, he believed in state law. He just didn't believe in federal law. That it was illegal for him to purchase a gun, and so forth. And in fact, it was illegal for the guy that sold him the gun to sell it.
I'm not sure that he sold or purchased any gun.
Huh?
I'm not convinced that I don't think that they sold or purchased that gun.
Man, you just defend anybody and
No,
call
but
them evil.
I know, but you're bringing up stuff that's not true. Kyle Rittenhouse borrowed.
And you're just a hypocrite.
From what I understand, Earl, Kyle Rittenhouse
You
borrowed.
don't understand anything.
Listen.
That's the problem.
I know. Okay, good one. Kyle Rittenhouse borrowed his friend's gun. That's how I understand it.
No, he bought it.
Okay.
That's why they're charging the guy, the 19-year-old who sold him.
I don't think that I think he supplied the gun. I don't think he sold it, but whatever. Even so, it doesn't matter.
He bought it with a stimulus check. That's amazing.
Federal law, hold on. Federal law, according to the Constitution, according to Lynn Wood, I think, it says that any young man ages 16 or 17 to 45 is part of the militia.
And you say...
and so he didn't break any state laws. That state law violates the Second Amendment.
Well, that goes to my other point. That would be sought out in court. And you always saying you should wait till the court decides to say if they're innocent or guilty.
No, innocent.
You proclaim them
false. I don't say
innocent. So when we say the guy,
Earl, it's innocent unless proven guilty.
But you proclaiming he's innocent.
Because it's obvious he's innocent.
No, you proclaiming that's why you're a hypocrite. Why don't you let the court decide?
Because courts decide whether they're
when
guilty.
Folks like in the Arbery case, when they said the guy that shot Arbery is guilty, he said, well, don't run the judgment.
Right.
Wait till the court decides.
Right. Because you're supposed to be innocent.
You want to declare somebody innocent.
Innocent unless proven guilty.
Without it being proven in court, it's okay.
Innocent.
You're a big hypocrite.
I'm not assuming that those guys are guilty, nor am I assuming that Kyle Rittenhouse is guilty.
You've been saying all day he's innocent.
Yeah.
They're doing this to an innocent man.
He is.
Doing that. He never did this.
Yeah.
And so forth. So you are proclaiming him innocent. So don't lie, fool.
I would only be a hypocrite if I were to declare him guilty.
No, you'd be a hypocrite to declare him either way. You should say just wait and see.
False. Innocent unless proven guilty. Anyway, I got to run, Earl. Nice talking with you. We'll talk again.
Okay, I'll see you later. Adios, amigos.
Adios. That means goodbye in Spanish. He wants to surrender the country to the Spanish speakers. What a mess. Based AF, Based America First says, Happy Thanksgiving. Thank you. Appreciate that. Generous as well. That's on streamlabs.com/The Hake Report. Hot Computer Smell gave a super chat and said, you're right about blacks only advocating for 2A, that's the Second Amendment, for themselves. Charlemagne, the so-called God, believes 2A all day, yet he voted for Biden-Harris. Placing emphasis on Harris. Yeah, he said, I didn't vote for Biden, I voted for Kamala Harris. What a simp. King Alpha Nerd gave a super chat. Earl has some nerve demeaning butlers and nannies. I agree. Work is dignified. And being polite to whites is dignified too. Alfred Pennyworth was the OG, original gangster, sidekick of Batman. Plus 2 white boys gave y'all Black Panther, so smile, Earl. And LL Cool Nate gave a diamond, said, can't listen today, but I'll assume it was great. And then he also said, he gave a diamond, said, Earl is here again, I'm out. I think he's the one who offered me 50 or 500 ninjets or something like that. If I don't take Earl or that other guy that guy from Hampton. Noah's Ark, Kansas with a diamond. Thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you for gifting the subscriptions. Dark Side of the Bear. What? Congrats to Super Dave. Arizona Lineman says, Earl, the Duke of, And Arizona Lineman says, Earl, get off my lawn, boy. Whoa. And thank you to Reckless Bandito, gifting a subscription to Jeremy McKnight. Congrats, Jeremy McKnight. Very nice. Appreciate the support, guys. Let me get to Justin in Big Sandy, Texas. He wants to address the people who are denying what he says is obvious voter fraud. Justin, how are you doing?
I'm doing good, man. It's been a while.
Right on. It's good to hear from you.
It's been a while since I've called you, but I feel like I got to address an issue that everyone...
You're the 17-year-old young man, right?
Against it. Yep.
Are you white?
I am a white guy, yep.
All right.
Yeah. So blacks who think whites can't talk, you can leave.
Whoa.
All right. But anyway, in all seriousness, though, I was going to talk about voter fraud, and I actually did some research on this. There were some states where, and I know this is old news, but I'm trying to give this as a consensus so that we know what to expect. One state, or even a few states, allowed people to vote under dead people's names. Tucker Carlson did a report on that, and I think that is just stupid. How would you allow that? Why would you allow that? And who would allow it? Those are the three questions that I always have to ask.
Part of it, I think, is incompetence and lack of, what is it called, organization on the people who don't keep the voter rolls up to date. Because voter rolls are supposed to cross off, meaning remove people who have died. But it's hard to tell sometimes. Some people have the same name. Some even have the same birth year. And so they don't want to cross off people who haven't died. So I don't know. It seems easily exploitable by some.
The best way to do that, make a state registry of people who died. Make a state registry. Say, okay, this person died, so this person isn't allowed to vote. I mean, they wouldn't be allowed to vote anyway. But you see what I mean? Make a state registry. Make a federal registry if needed. Or, heck, make each district make a registry of people who died. Hold on.
Yeah.
That was my smart news. Yeah, I get that on my phone. But just make like a registry of people who are dead, and then the problem will be fixed. And then also, there are some states, look at Pennsylvania. They stopped voting overnight, and Trump was in the lead by 10 points. And this was when about 60 to 65% of the vote was in, maybe a little less. But they stopped.
Yeah,
and then I found out there were a bunch of votes that were given overnight, like at 4 a.m, and apparently in that case, Biden won by 1% in that state.
Barely,
It doesn't add up.
Yeah.
It doesn't add up.
Which state was that you heard about that from?
That was, I believe, that was Pennsylvania. An 11-point change like that doesn't add up. It does not add up, especially now if it was 10% of it, or if it were a smaller state like Montana, I could understand a little bit more. But this is a big state. This is Pennsylvania.
That is a big state.
Brotherly love.
And Philadelphia.
The thing is, with Pennsylvania, this isn't the first time that they've had significant voter fraud. I think Ben Shapiro mentioned that there was this case where there were I don't know if it was the court judges or something like that, but it was a top 3, and they actually gave votes to 3 people that they wanted on there. And I think the person who the main person who was a part of that, I think got like either 6 months or a year or something like that. Not a big sentence for that, which I think is stupid. I think,
President Trump too. He mentioned Philadelphia even in the debate with Joe Biden. One of the debates, he said that Philadelphia has had major problems in the past with corruption and fraud. I think he said something along those lines.
Of course. And the thing is, when you look at, in Texas, the weird thing was Biden was winning for a majority of the time in Texas. That doesn't normally happen. I actually, hashtag not an advertisement, I was doing coverage for this small media company with election coverage. I was in charge of Texas. And in the county that I live in, Upshur County, the ballot machines broke. So they had to delay it. This has been a combination of broken machines, broken ballots, of course, and the mail-in ballot situation. The thing is, this is how I think it should be done. If you're going to do mail-in ballots, there should be debate workers. Hold on, let me hang up there. I'm not hanging up at you. There's someone trying to call me. I'm going to say this. Let me say this, okay? There was, if you're going to do mail-in ballots correctly, there should be debate volunteers. They're not debate volunteers, but ballot volunteers. What they should do, they should come to the door, knock on the door, give you your ballot, and you have to fill it out there, so that there's lesser of a chance for it to be a fraudulent ballot. That would be a lot of work, but that's an interesting idea. That would be a lot of work, but if a lot of people are willing to do the work, then I don't see why it can't happen. I mean, I'd see a lot of people on the right who are for, who, of course, all of us are against voter suppression, of course, but they're also against fake votes. I'm not against so-called voter suppression. I think it's a fake concern. I think that we shouldn't have... Well, anyways, I don't like. I mean, we used to have it back in the day with Jim Crow and poll taxes. We don't have it anymore.
I've heard that that's true. I don't know. I assume it's probably some truth to it.
Yeah, but the thing is, when you see all of these votes, you see all these. Arizona shockingly shifted to Biden, which was very weird because the thing is, and there were even counties. I think this was Sarah Gonzalez. She works at Blaze TV. She posted this on her Instagram and probably her other social media. It was a public file of Gwinnett County, Georgia voters. There were about 500,000 registered voters in that county. There were 800,000 ballots put in.
Right. That's what Trump has been. Yeah. President Trump has been tweeting that there is more votes than people. And I haven't heard. Exactly. I haven't really. It seems like there's either a lack of curiosity or just it's corruption on the part of the mainstream media and the part of officials who are ignoring this point. Is it true or is it not? Trump is saying that it is, and there's other people saying that it is. It's so weird. And if Biden, and if ultimately the fake ballots are taken out and Biden still wins, I'll accept it. That's a democracy. But I'm not going to accept it if there is a major mail-in ballot crisis. I wouldn't even accept it if Trump won because I want to see if the ballots are taken away, who's going to win. If the fake ballots are taken away, I wouldn't even accept it if Trump won. Although, as much as I support Trump, I got to be equal opportunity. I got to be equal opportunity and say we need to make sure that we take out all the fake ballots and whoever wins, wins. Earl, my previous caller, who always speaks Spanish when he says hello to us. Loco. He said that Trump poisoned the well with regard to saying, it's going to be more voter fraud than you can even imagine. But it's just common sense when they're in some states are mailing out ballots willy-nilly. Like G from San Diego said, many of us receive ballots without requesting them. In California, probably everybody. And there are some places where you get two ballots. You don't just get one, you get two. Right. That's what G said. And here, but you can only vote once. They cross off your name so you can only vote once, supposedly. But the thing is, he's not the first. Trump is not the first one to bring up voter fraud. It's been a concern for years before I ever even took Trump seriously as a candidate because he hadn't really run for president seriously until 2015. Before that, I've been hearing about voter fraud. And honestly, the Democrats poisoned the well with the Al Gore thing. They were crying voter fraud back then. And to this day, they're saying that Al Gore was robbed by George W. Bush and Jeb Bush, his brother, Jeb Bush was the brother of George W. Bush, and he was governor of Florida. And I got to say this, here in East Texas, in Gregg County, someone or a few people got charged with a total of, I think, 134 counts of voter fraud. Really?
Here in East Texas, in Gray County, kind of in the Longview area,
Yeah.
in Gray County, there were 134 charges of voter fraud.
I didn't know
And
that.
I think one of them did over 100 votes alone. Now, it could be more. Maybe it's about 150 now, but 134, that's a lot.
Yeah. Wow.
And most people who are convicted of voter fraud, maybe 10 to 15 charges, but this is 134 charges in Gray County, 300,000 more votes than registered voters in Gwinnett County. People who are dead apparently voting, which I think is based on neglect. I give them the benefit of the doubt on that one. But even then, all the other things that are happening.
And you know what?
In Pennsylvania,
it's hard
the
to track.
11-point shift. Yeah.
It's hard to track.
But we need to track it.
And if you call it out in black areas, they'll say, "Oh, Detroit is 80% black. You're just being racist." It's ridiculous.
Well, look at these projections. More blacks actually voted for Trump, or at least were projected to vote for Trump.
Than usual.
I mean, I don't think it's a majority. I don't think it's a majority by any means, like some far-right sources say, but it's definitely higher than that 20% that a lot of people project.
Oh, you think so? I don't know. That's a lot in itself. 20%.
Maybe about
for
25%,
blacks,
maybe.
Because in general, it's like 2-3%.
Yeah. Well,
1%.
in 2016, it was about 9% blacks voting for Trump. 8 or 9.
Really? In 2016. Okay,
in 2016. And the thing is, people say blame the white men, but less white men voted for Trump.
I know, that's a shame. That's a shame.
Blame the minorities if you want to blame someone.
Anyway, Justin, it's good to hear from you. Appreciate you.
All right. And to blame the minorities, that's because more minorities voted for Trump. I'm not saying that to be offensive. Let me re-clarify that so that no one... Yeah. So you have a good day, all right?
All right. You as well, Justin. Take care.
Bye.
Interesting. That young man is too polished. Let me get to Sion in Georgia before we go to break. I want to get to Sion. She wants to talk. Georgia is a major battleground state to this day with regard to this voter fraud thing. Hey, Sion, nice to hear from you.
Hi, how are you?
I'm fine. How are you?
I'm good. Well, no woman is good.
Correct.
I'm distracted. I'm busy. I'm gonna try to go fast.
All right.
Okay.
Cool.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Thank you. Happy Thanksgiving to you as well.
Are you guys open tomorrow?
We're open. Well, the bond office is open through Wednesday, and I think Thursday, Friday, we're going to have the show, but the office might be closed. Most likely it'll be closed for Thursday, Friday.
How late does Jesse work?
Through usually the office hours are 9 to 4.
Okay, so he's there until 4. Just want to know.
Yeah, unless he's outside of the office doing stuff. But yes.
Okay. Earl, are you going to ban him for how many ninjats?
I forget how many ninjats he offered me, but I don't know.
No, because he's funny. I know he's very stubborn and annoying, repeats the same thing, but he's entertaining.
Right.
I think some of us enjoy, him and Joe Biden are like similar to me,
Yeah.
The dementia, he's old. Yeah. So in Georgia with the voter fraud, I think I heard, I'm not really sure, Brian Camp may be involved in it.
Yeah, I've heard the same thing. And I haven't heard that he's necessarily involved in the fraud itself, but that he kind of got, according to Sidney Powell, a kickback for accepting this allegedly corrupt Dominion voting system into his state kind of last minute. Is that what you've heard?
Yeah, for the money. Of course, they're all corrupt. They're all corrupt politicians. I thought Africa was corrupt, but in America, since, Donald Trump came into the picture, they've been exposed. And
I think you're right.
Yeah,
It's
all
getting
of them
worse.
are corrupt. The Republicans, too.
Yeah.
It's only Donald versus all of the politicians.
That's how I feel about it, too, Sion. Yeah.
Yeah. And Joe, oh, my God. He's
Joe from Phoenix or Joe Biden?
Joe Biden.
Okay.
He's corrupt too, and he's evil, but he's hilarious, And, he came this far because he was a running mate as a VP for Obama.
Right.
And he came this far. They couldn't believe it, but they would take him over Trump anytime.
Yeah.
They're using him. Of course, they're using him.
Right.
And black people, all the comments he made, they still voted for him. It's crazy.
What do you think about the notion that blacks can cheat and lie and steal and even kill, and only a little bit of lip service might be said about it, but if you get too strong in your criticism, you're called racist, and people don't. For that reason, people let them get away with all of that.
I know. They're very angry for some reason. I don't know why, but these generations, even the way they drive, they're angry.
Yeah.
They're very evil. I don't know. Maybe, like Jesse says, it starts in the home. But
what do you think about the people who are afraid to call it out?
Well, they're afraid because, like, right now, the media and the Hollywood, the pressure. They follow Hollywood and rap music a whole lot. And
you're talking about blacks, do?
Yeah.
But I'm talking about the people who know that they oftentimes will lie or cheat or steal or even kill, and they're afraid to say it.
Them. Yeah, they're afraid of them. They're afraid. You're talking about white people?
Whites, too, yeah, including whites, yes, especially whites, but even
they're
all people. All people should be calling this out.
Ethiopians are afraid of them, too.
Yeah.
Because they're very hostile. They get in your face, if you don't know how to handle them. I'm not scared.
It reminds... That's cool. Go on. What were you about to say?
I had altercations before when I used to work as a waitress with the blacks.
Yeah.
Taniquas and over tables. But, you can handle them if you're not afraid and you stand up to them.
Yeah.
But it's not a good thing. They have to stand up. The white people, like Jesse preaches all the time.
Right.
Otherwise, it will be like South Africa. It'll be like France,
Yeah.
And they're never going to love them. They never appreciate them. So
You're talking about blacks never appreciate whites?
Yeah, they'll never. I am so appreciative to this country, and I'm not even making as much as I should be after maybe I graduate. But, yeah, I am thankful because when I compare it to the third world, this is like heaven.
Yeah.
The dollar amounts a lot of money, and you can do whatever you want here. Like you can, I don't like the law. The law is not, like when someone do you wrong, you can't just go and beat them up, even though,
Right.
you want to. The police are going to be, or the law is going to be for all people, even though they do you wrong.
Yeah.
It's like innocent till proven guilty thing.
Right.
I don't like.
You don't like that?
Well, in some cases I do. In some cases I do. But if someone does you wrong, you should be able to go and beat them up and not be, in trouble.
Yeah, it's an interesting point. It does get abused. The legal system does get abused by corrupt people, for sure.
Yeah. And then Joe, after his comment about you ain't black if you don't vote for me, that itself, it would have been like enough,
Right.
And for him, and even look at Obama, like, you would elect this racism doesn't exist, but this black hating man, you would elect him. I would be looking at him like that.
Oh, you think? Yeah, because Joe Biden really does
himself.
He does look down on blacks. He looks down on everybody.
Yes, he said poor kids are just as talented as white kids. What does that mean? What are you trying to say? Are we poor?
I mean, he's just a boomer. Some of those comments, I really don't mind. He's just a boomer who knows that from what he's used to is that blacks tend to be poorer and Hispanics tend to be poorer. So poor means colored and rich means white.
Yeah, I mean, he is so ignorant, though. He is so, and he's a friend of, what was that guy who is also Hillary's friend? I forgot.
I forget, too.
Robert Byrd?
Robert Byrd. The KKK guy? Yeah, all that stuff. Honestly, the worst stuff is him crying racism all the time. That just shows that he looks down on blacks and just uses them for politics, and he looks down on whites and doesn't care about what's true or right in the country. He's a phony. It's
only for him. Yes, they're all phony. It's Donald Trump against all of them. If I were Donald, I would keep going. I would not stop. But unfortunately, it kind of will get tiring and wear him out because even his son-in-law, I heard, is telling him to drop it, right?
Wow.
You heard Jared Kushner?
Kushner is? I hadn't heard that. We'll have to look into that.
I heard it at a Newsmax.
I hope not. I hope that Kushner's not that far off the deep end.
He is, and so is his daughter. I don't trust his daughter.
I don't really particularly trust either one of those either, honestly. I wish that Trump would just listen to himself. They're liberals.
He should, but what they want to do is that if the votes, which it'll all turn for Donald Trump, but what they want is chaos. They want to shut the whole place down again, and
the Democrats.
The black people who don't have a job, who are on, or even white people, the demented, crazy white people. Yeah, they would start rioting and burning. That's what they want. So it's crazy.
Never fail to exploit a crisis and stir up a crisis. A fake crisis, by the way.
Yeah, and we cannot have Kamala as president, and then it'll be AOC. Imagine. Oh, my God. It's like the rich folks with jobs will leave this country and go somewhere where there's less tax. And what about the blue-collared people? What about us? What's going to happen? So something has to be done. Like, all of us should go. I will go, too. I'm armed, so I can go.
Nice.
To riot against these crazy loonies. But it's dangerous, but you just got to do what you got to do.
Yeah.
But then the law is not against, the law is against pretty much us right now because the cops are getting arrested,
in some cases.
For doing their job. Yeah, for doing their job. Yeah. Now, I know that they're like real black hating when they were taught as a kid. Their father would tell them, oh, blacks are no good. Or they see them doing more crimes than the white people.
Yeah.
So they're going to, immediately think that they're a threat. But not all of them are bad because without the police, we don't have nothing.
Right.
Literally. I mean, who are we going to call? And they're going to take our guns away? You might as well move to Mommy Africa. That's
I know.
Crazy to do.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. I got to go.
I appreciate it, Sion.
You. Nice talking to you. Great show, and keep it up, okay?
All
keep
right.
up being yourself. Be yourself.
Nice.
Don't
Thank you,
listen
Sion.
to nobody. And if you want to sound like Jesse, so be it. He's great.
Right.
So, what a great example.
Appreciate it. Take care, Sion.
You too. Don't ban Earl. Okay.
Bye. How many ninjets, though? I'm going to get to Marion, Art, and Rick and the rest of the callers. I have some super chats to read. I'm going to touch on a minor correction, or actually a significant correction, on the did less whites really vote for Trump this time around? I heard that that's not actually correct, and when I think about it, I think that's true. I heard he got 10 million more votes this time around, according to the Epoch Times, than last time around. 10 million more votes Trump got than last time. Interesting. Anyway, guys, I will be right back, taking a quick break. It's 10 after 10 right now. But I'll be back for the rest of hour 2. Hang tight, guys. And I'm also going to touch on this Sidney Powell thing and a detractor who's well known and somewhat hated. Shouldn't be hating him, but kind of catches it sort of deservedly. But I'll be right back, guys. Hang tight for the rest of hour 2. Enjoy this music in the meantime.
didn't know what I had till it was gone. You're my ghost, my missing affection. And in the night, I will be a fantasy. And when the day is done, you will be coming over. Your body's gone, but you're right next to me. I didn't know what I had.
And we're back, guys. Appreciate you hanging in there. Quick correction on the did less white people vote for President Trump. You want to correct the record on here for me, Chris? And I have a little bit to add to it, too, but he explained it pretty well.
Sure, yeah. I don't have like an exact source or anything like that, but basically because more non-white people voted for Trump this time around, the total like representative number of white people, went down in the total. But that doesn't mean that less white people voted for him this time versus 2016. Just in total, they made up less because more non-white people voted for him.
Okay. So there was more energy for Trump amongst all races.
Right.
And a huge turnout amongst both supposed Biden voters and Trump voters. Only because there was such hatred for Trump do I believe that. Do I believe that there was any amount of significant voting for Biden?
Yeah.
That so a bigger percentage of POCs voted for Trump. Therefore, that brought down the percentage of voters for Trump that were white. I do know that I'm sure he gained a lot of white voters, but I'm also sure he lost a significant portion of white voters. For example, Richard Spencer, who is an alt-right guy. He calls himself a nationalist. He's like a nationalist, socialist kind of a guy. He's a liberal, but he doesn't hate white people. Well, I don't know if he loves anybody, honestly, but he doesn't really get into the hatred and open, vile nastiness towards Christians or whites. Richard Spencer doesn't, or men. But he claims to have endorsed Joe Biden this time around, which is really, it just shows he is an atheist. He's blind.
Yeah.
So there were some. There's that. If Richard Spencer didn't vote for Trump this time, there was a whole bunch of people who didn't vote for Trump this time who were into that stuff.
Yeah, there was some that were saying that like up to 5% less white people, which that's 5%. That's
huge.
That's like millions.
Uh-huh.
That doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, because what is there, like 120 million or I don't know, 200 million almost, 198 million and decreasing number of whites in the country,
rapidly,
including
rapidly decreasing.
Right.
But yeah, 60, roughly 60%. So yeah, I guess that's
approaching 200 million.
Yeah,
but
almost
decreasing.
a third. Yeah, that'd be almost a third, I guess.
Yeah, white non-Hispanics.
Right.
Interesting. So 10 million more votes for Trump this time around than in 2016. I think he convinced or persuaded or opened the eyes of a lot of people. A lot of new people voted for him. Some people felt betrayed on him, so they betrayed him back. That's one thing that I don't encourage. Even with this Black Rifle Coffee Company, as obnoxious as I find it, that they didn't want to stand with Kyle, they have the right not to want to get involved in that. They really do. Because it is like a controversial situation. It would be nice to be like, this is America. You're innocent unless proven guilty. And this guy is clearly innocent. And it's not just innocent until proven guilty, because this guy, there is going to be no until. I mean, he'll probably be found guilty because of kangaroo courts and corrupt systems. As Sion pointed out, there's a whole lot of corruption. And people are charged with things without any reason to be charged. But what a mess. But I say don't turn on people, especially like look at Tucker Carlson. I was saying don't turn on Tucker Carlson just because he didn't stand strong with Sidney Powell. He kind of undermined her. She undermined him back, and I still don't know what the truth of the situation is. You know what? They accused each other of having a temper tantrum or being mad, and I don't know that either one of them was. Could be just an honest disagreement between two America-loving, old school lady, true lady, Sidney Powell. I think of her as that. And an old school American man, Tucker Carlson. Don't turn on them. We got to stay united even though there's disagreements, right? But do watch people and yourself. Because you still can't trust people. Jib Jab says Tucker is turning on himself. I don't know. We'll see. I got to get to Art in Ohio. He wants to talk about the Trump rally crowds. Earl brought that up. Art in Ohio, how are you doing?
Hey, man, how are you doing, buddy?
I'm doing fine, too. Good to hear from you.
Hey, good to hear from you, too. God bless you. God bless Jesse, and God bless everybody working up on this show, keeping up the good work with us.
Appreciate that. And back at you, too.
And hey, thank you. And God bless my president, President Trump and Pence in America. God bless America, the great America.
Hey,
long
Art,
story short.
Appreciate that.
Go
hey,
ahead.
Before you get into your point about the Trump rally crowds and Earl and all that stuff, did you hear Jesse Lee Peterson's show? In the first hour, he was talking to a black guy who's, I think he had a baby out of wedlock, and so he wants to be a father there as a father for his son. And he had a conversation.
I seen it. I watched it.
What did you think about that conversation?
Oh, I'm proud of that. I'm proud of that young man. But I'm proud of that young man. He's doing good or whatnot. And I agree with him. I know where he's coming from because he's probably in a situation where he spent $6,000 on paying a lawyer to try to get his son and to set him back on being able to go get him somewhere of his own to live at. So he had to put that on the back burner till he got his child. And I think that's what he was saying that he's doing is he's trying to work on getting out of his mom's house. I think he's an alpha in his mom's house. And he's just caught in a bad situation. But we all have beta tendencies where we revert back to beta. You see what I'm saying? But no, Jesse's right, though, because him being in his mom's house or whatnot, it ain't good for the kid for the simple fact he's not really getting the foundation, the proper learning of the foundation, the blueprint, and how to build it up the right way.
Yeah.
Because me and him and a lot of us are coming from a fallen state.
Yeah. Cool. Well, I encourage, if you guys missed that conversation, check it out. It appeared on the first hour of today's show of the Jesse Lee Peterson Show. It's Monday, November 23rd, 2020, guys. Anyway. I don't know how nobody will watch Jesse Lee Peterson Show and then not watch yours afterwards. It's basically like eating a meal and then you're the dessert. You see what I'm saying? I appreciate it. I don't want to.
Well, I'm just saying it.
But thank you. Appreciate that.
The analogy of it. You wouldn't go with one without getting the other. Long story short, I'm just kind of disappointed at you today, Hake, buddy.
Why is that?
Because I feel like you let that last lady caller kind of slip in and kind of infiltrate you. You see what I'm saying? You like, how?
You're talking about Sion? You talking about Sion infiltrating me? What'd she say? What'd she say that was wrong? Or sketchy?
So first thing first, even down to Earl. Yeah, we don't want to ban him.
Right.
Or whatnot, but I'm not laughing at Earl. At this point in 2020, ain't nothing funny about what's going on. And it's sad that Earl don't get it. You see what I'm saying? You can throw rocks at him, hit him over top of the head as many times as you want to. He just don't get it. So for her to sit back and think that him being in a fallen state and being dumb is a very liberal beta of her. You see what I'm saying? And she probably need to sit back and watch the show a little bit more because her skirt went up. No point. Analogy. Huh? That's an analogy in the hood. That's a slang term that we use in the hood. your skirt went up, B. You see what I'm saying?
And what is it? And what is explain that in clean terms?
In clean terms, that means she exposed herself. Long story short, how she exposed herself the second time or whatnot.
Wait, are you saying that she exposed herself by saying, "Oh, Earl's just funny," and you're saying that it's not funny, it's not cute?
No.
Is that what you're saying?
It ain't cute and it ain't fun. Yeah, son, that's exactly what I'm saying.
Okay.
I mean, it's cool to get a little chuckle, but I really want to try to figure out what's Earl's point. I'm trying to really figure out the left's point and Earl's side's point, and I'm not getting it because it doesn't make any sense.
Well,
they don't come with no logic. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah. So, I mean, I get you. It's something that you shouldn't be just shrugging off, nor should you take it too seriously, take it to the heart. Because there's always going to be blind, angry people like Earl who have this bitterness towards whites and towards conservatives and think that it's okay to be a Democrat and call yourself, pretend that you believe in God and all that stuff.
Yeah,
there's always going to be that.
How are we from the same place? I mean, I might be in Ohio in America. He might be at wherever he's at in America. But how is this so much? And this is even a disconnect with even my own family. You see what I'm saying? How is this much of a disconnect that I'm getting so much of the factual information, but all my family ain't? And I know where it's coming from. They sitting and watching all these liberal TV shows, the liberal news, liberal movies. You see what I'm saying?
It's not just that. It's not just that, though, because there's people who watch Jesse, and they're still blind as a bat.
But no.
So it's not just a lack of. It's not just a lack of information. They're spiritually blind, or something.
No, but check this out.
Yeah.
I agree with you in a sense, but no, I disagree with you because anybody that watches your show or Jesse Lee's show, and I ain't trying to butt kids, they have to be coming out of the fallen state. This show right here is a literally a blessing, and you have to be. Like, it's like you putting on the see-through glasses. Once you come watch Jesse's show and your show, it's like you're coming out of the fallen state. You're coming into alpha states. You see what I'm saying? Being an alpha.
So you think Earl from Michigan and Joe from Phoenix are coming out of their fallen state? And Marcus?
No. Because at this point, I think they think that they can change our minds.
Yeah.
But you can't change our minds because we already know how to left things. Y'all don't think right.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Morally, y'all don't think.
Joe from Phoenix doesn't.
Right.
Joe from Phoenix doesn't think he's on the left, even though he thinks Obama was a great president. He thinks that he's a black conservative.
Man, he's lost, and a lot of them that be trying to watch the show and try to become an expert, they only watching it because they trying to be the kid in the class is trying to interrupt. You see what I'm saying? They ain't coming here trying to really learn nothing. They just coming here trying to disrupt. Instead of sitting back and trying to get what we're trying to tell them, because at this point, just like I'm saying, ain't nothing funny about what's going on right now.
Yeah.
It's at a very pivotal point to where if they keep what they doing up with trying to fraud the election, that it could turn into a civil war.
Yeah,
and
it's crazy right now.
That.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's nothing funny about that because I'm a Negro and I know I don't appreciate it because I take America serious because it's my land too.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? I'm not ignorant. You see what I'm saying? I might not have built no skyscrapers or nothing in my generation, but still, this is my land. This has been a lot of my people bloodshed on this land.
Yeah.
And I do care about this country. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, I do. I appreciate that, Art.
And then another thing is, with the last caller too, is, I agree with you. Sometimes the left, they hit us, and the cops or whatnot, they might take long, and the justice might take long, but that's the thing about America that makes America special like it is, that you don't have the mob mentality where you can go out when you feel like somebody's going to wrong you, I'm going to go bust them over their head.
Right.
If you want to do that, you go over to Africa. If you want to do that, you go to one of them foreign countries. You see what I'm saying?
I do.
And do that. Because over here, we follow Christian Judea law out of the Bible.
That's right.
And we don't go around trying to hang people on crosses and trees over here. You see what that's old days. That's when Jesus allegedly was walking and all that stuff. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah. Good
and
point.
that was very liberal of her to say that. She didn't even catch what she said when she said that. And one more thing, and I'm gonna get up off here. Clearly, when everybody was going to these Trump rallies and we was watching Trump on YouTube, that was us test driving Trump out. We already had 4 years with him. We test drove him the first 4 years. He did good.
Yeah.
The rallies with the people coming there and people watching him on YouTube, they were trying to do is see if anything else changed that would make them turn to Biden. You see what I'm saying? Okay, now I'm gonna switch over to Biden. Didn't nobody look or pay attention to Biden on no YouTube or at his rallies?
Yeah.
Because we don't want no little beetle bug Volkswagen. You see what I'm saying? We want a souped up guys charging Hellcats. We don't want no Volkswagen Beetle. We know what Joe Biden's about. You see what I'm saying? So you keep your little Beetle by and you see what I'm saying, and put your little self up. You see what look. So check this out. So we already know that y'all interfere. So I don't even think a lot of black people voted for Biden like they saying it. You see what I'm saying?
I think you might be right.
And I don't think what they trying to say that a lot of white people didn't vote for. I don't believe it neither. They messed up this whole election. And truth be told, they need to go ahead and disqualify anybody that is on the street. Excuse me, I'm not being funny, but this is another slang that we used to say back in when I was young in high school, middle school. The short bus, meaning the retarded bus. Okay, if you can't count, you don't need to be participating in this American elect. They need to disqualify anybody that's having a hard time getting their count off. And if they all black areas, if they can't figure out how to count black areas, oh well. If you want to go to war, playing around with the American Constitution, then we can do that.
What do you think? What do you think, Art, about my statement and Jesse Lee Peterson's statement too, that they're using blacks to cheat because blacks don't mind cheating, and they're not.
It's the liberals.
The liberals are.
Yes,
but they're using
are.
black liberals to cheat who don't mind cheating, and the whites and Republicans and conservatives are too cowardly to point it out because they're black. They don't want to get called racist.
Yeah. Well, that's true, but I think it's bigger than that too, hey, because I think that the liberals are in high power. You got your allegedly your Soros and these other people like your Obamas. I think they have been promising them, and they're thinking it's light at the end of the tunnel, but they don't understand. Once America's gone, your dude Obama, he's gonna have a private plane and some security. Probably
right.
He'll taken care of.
He'll be fine.
All these other people, he'll be fine. All these people that think that they're gonna be taken care of and ain't nothing gonna happen to them when America falls, buddy. The devil don't trick you, just like he don't trick a lot of these people thinking they're gonna be safe in bunkers when the return of Father God comes. You've been deceived, buddy. And,
I appreciate it, Art.
I'm definitely laughing at you. And God bless you. Hey, you keep up the good work, man. I'll talk to you later, buddy.
Thank you, man. Good to hear from you.
All right, tell Jesse and tell the rest of my sports specialists I said keep up that good work, and I like the music. Who's up there with that baby face, man?
Oh, that was Chris. That was White Chris.
Chris, man, look at Chris. What? Chris, look at Chris. He up there, man. I come to California. I'm keeping my girls away from you, man.
Smart man. I don't think he would.
All right, man. I know. He an alpha, man. All right, y'all have a good one.
You as well, Art. It's good to hear from you. Wow. So before I get back to calls, and I got to get back to you guys, hang tight real quick. Drudge is mocking Sidney Powell. Or at least the Drudge headlines are mocking Sidney Powell. And they're sharing, stuff from Washington Compost, Mediaite, and probably the New York Slimes, I imagine, right? Even Chris Christie, the rhino, who's hit and miss. Sometimes he was pro-Trump. Here's the Drudge headlines, and I have like a screenshot of a picture of her and some of the headlines from Drudge Report, which I haven't been citing so much. Some guy noticed. I appreciate that. One of the guys who supported Jesse Lee Peterson in a diamond, I believe. Too crazy even for Trump is one headline. And I say, no, too honest for establishment handlers. And yes, I admit, Trump has establishment handlers. Because think about the social media summit on censorship. There was Ben Garrison, the cartoonist? He was disinvited from the social media summit on censorship, and he was censored. Many people, nationalists, very supportive of President Trump, disinvited, disallowed to go to the White House. Ridiculous. And I don't entirely blame Trump for that, but, it comes from the top down, but Trump has very few true friends in his inner circle, I would say, right? Lawyer Sidney Powell, fired after wild conspiracy, reads one headline that is a Mediaite headline. And no, that's not true too. That's fake news. She was not fired because she was never hired. She never signed a retainer, according to her, and she was never asked for reimbursement on her fees and stuff. So that's fake news. And Chris Christie calls the conduct of the legal team an embarrassment, a national embarrassment. Chris Christie's the national embarrassment. Remember, you guys might not remember, but he hugged Obama, and that was so unifying, right? After like some hurricane or something that hit New Jersey, right? Some natural disaster hit New Jersey. Obama came to visit. That was in the 2012 election versus Mitt Romney, who we're glad that he lost anyways, but Chris Christie hugged Obama, and Chris Christie's fat, and he's a rhino. Sometimes he speaks his mind, and I appreciate it when he does that, but sometimes he's just pathetic. And sometimes he stands with Trump, that's nice. But no, he's a national embarrassment. So I don't consider this a national embarrassment. And here's another a headline. They cried fraud, but courts found none. But that's not even true. Courts threw out the cases. And by the way, Sidney Powell, this great lady who's in the upper right, if any lady's great, right? Upper right, upper left corner of the screen, if you're watching. She addressed this on Newsmax TV Saturday night. She was interviewed by Newsmax TV, and they seemed to kind of hedge against what she was saying, being like, that's amazing, that's insane, and stuff like that. But anyway, she said in a lawsuit, when you're bringing a lawsuit, you don't even have to even show all the evidence or present much evidence. You just bring the allegations. Another person made the point that you're supposed to, later on, I think it might have been Jenna Ellis, the other female lawyer who's working for Trump, said that later on you're supposed to hold the evidentiary hearing. But no, these are like Obama judges. One of them was a Trump judge who threw out the case. But they planned for them throwing out these cases because they want to bring it to the Supreme Court. I don't know if they're going to win in the end. I don't know. Maybe they will, maybe they won't. A little background on Sidney Powell. That's enough of Drudge headlines. I mean, he shares the mainstream. It's kind of helpful because then you know what the mainstream is saying, meaning the anti-American news outlets are saying, because he mostly shares anti-American outlets, Washington Compost, New York Slimes, Los Angeles Slimes, Mediaite. All those are trash outlets. AP, trash. But they do bring some factual information, and you get to know what they're claiming, right? JLP interviewed Sidney Powell in November, I think it was 12th actually, 2014, on the DOJ corruption. Obama, Holder, Loretta Lynch. And she made the point in that Newsmax TV interview that the DOJ, the Department of Justice, became corrupt when it started seeking, what did she call it? Convictions rather than justice. Convictions rather than justice. And isn't that an interesting point? They just try, by hook or by crook, get you convicted. Or if they don't think they can convict you, they might not do it. Or if they don't want to convict you, they might not do it. Her website is defendingtherepublic.org. Oh, that's her legal defense fund for supporting this attack on suspected voter fraud, right? She also has shares on that website, on her own website, SidneyPowell.com. SIDNEY, Powell, POWELL. The most important briefings on the government's concocted case against that former NSA, National Security Advisor Michael Flynn, General Flynn, because she supported him and she represented him and she got the DOJ to drop charges against him. And I don't know if the charges are completely dropped because there's a corrupt liberal black judge. But she made these allegations, and I kind of detailed them to you in Hake News at the beginning of hour 1, how she said that even Bernie got burned by, I didn't mean it like a pun, but whatever. He got burned by corruption in the Dominion voting systems. Or she, either Dominion or Smartmatic or whatever. This corrupt software that she says is corrupt, right? That Hillary Clinton had a fixed election, and I don't know if she knew or just, people don't mind cheating nowadays. People are very corrupt. And I agree with Sion when she says that there's a whole lot of corruption in the country right now. And she brought up that Nicolas Maduro, who's been in charge of Venezuela since, 2013, and whenever Hugo Chavez died in 2013, I believe it was. But Hugo Chavez is the one who commissioned, I think, according to her, Smartmatic to develop a system where they can change votes and not track whose vote changed, so that he would fix elections for himself and win. Communist guy, Hugo Chavez, Venezuela. And Smartmatic agreed to it. And why wouldn't they agree to it? Look at Google. They're doing censorship for China, I heard. And they're doing censorship for Europe and America, when America's supposed to be a free speech country. They don't believe in free speech, so they violate Americans' rights. Because they act like they're the government. Did you know that Twitter, I saw this headline from Twitter, that, according to the Epoch Times, that Twitter plans to give POTUS, P-O-T-U-S, President of the United States, POTUS, that Twitter handle, POTUS, to Joe Biden on January 20th. They have no business planning on that, but they believe the fake news media, and they're part of the fake news media, Twitter. But they're acting like they're part of the government, and they clamp down on freedom of speech. And they say, this statement is disputed. They only do that against conservatives, against Trump. They don't do it against Black Lives Matter. They support Black Lives Matter. They boost the fake news Black Lives Matter false narrative. Sleazy people. So anyway, Matt Walsh, this guy, Matt Walsh, I kind of like him, honestly. He's been on the Jesse Lee Peterson show. He's pro-life. He's not for abortion. I don't know if he's Catholic or normal Christian, meaning, no offense, Catholics, but, or Mormon or what, but he was an independent blogger for years. He came to the forefront. He got hired by The Blaze, right? That's Glenn Beck's outlet. Glenn Beck is a Mormon guy. That's why I speculated, right? And then now he's a writer for Daily Wire. That's Ben Shapiro's outlet. Ben Shapiro's a Jewish, sort of a conservative guy, intellectual. And so is Matt Walsh, intellectual. And that means sometimes spiritually blind, I say. Blind on the Trump thing, definitely. So he tweeted, I have this tweet, Sidney Powell took the very serious issue of voter fraud, and yes, it is a very serious issue, and turned it into an embarrassing sideshow circus that will now undermine all of the extremely serious and valid concerns we have. And many conservatives with large platforms knowingly helped her do it. It's infuriating. So this guy is acting like the black, that black talented 10th people who think that they can think for everybody else and say, you're misleading people. You guys with your platforms are misleading people. And I admit that there are many people who, I don't want to diminish the Q people, but they believe in the Q thing and assume that Trump is going to win, just TikTok people. And they assume that that we're going to win with this voter fraud fight. I don't want to assume that. I want to fight it out, fight it hard. But I don't know if they think that it's speaking in faith to say, we're going to win. I like when Trump says we're going to win. I retweet it. I like it. But I don't know. I don't know what battles we're going to win and what battles we're going to lose. You win some, you lose some. And there is some gullible people, but you don't treat people like children. He acts like people are children and need leaders to think for them. No, think for yourself. So I told this Matt Walsh guy, calm down. You were beside yourself against Trump. When Trump, he's the best we've had in our lifetimes in terms of the president, I think. Maybe even better than Reagan. Reagan might have been great. I don't know. He had a lot of drawbacks, and some of you guys have drawbacks with regard to Trump, or at least the Trump administration. I definitely have drawbacks with the administration. They don't stand with what he said that he was about. Back in 2016, Matt Walsh tweeted, January 26, 2016, "I will vote for the first candidate who promises to deport all Trump fans." And yes, that's a joke, but he was beside himself a hater. He didn't realize the wisdom and the truth of that Trump put forth. He was one of those people that, Trump's behavior. Trump's behavior was excellent. I loved Trump's behavior. He's a blind intellectual in the vein of that teddy bear guy, Ted Cruz, whom I used to like. I still kind of like him. I like Matt Walsh too, honestly. Ben Shapiro, Glenn Beck. If you listen to him too much and you're kind of have anger, it'll be annoying because they're so blind and bash Trump, who's like great. All Trump haters, intellectuals, some of them Jewish, one of them Mormon, Matt, I don't know what he is, but they're good on abortion, good on guns sometimes, even acknowledge the hatred against white people too, sometimes. They do. But it's just kind of interesting. I looked up some information because he was called some names by some of the Groyper guys, but I don't have time to get into it because I want to get to my callers. But so maybe I'll save it for tomorrow. Maybe. I do want to cover it because it's kind of interesting. But Matt Walsh, Nick Fuentes, who's like one of the Groyper guys, meaning like Catholic conservatives who did not like these people not being really America first and kind of undermining Trump and just being kind of sleazy blind intellectuals. He called them a name that I was not familiar with. And so I Googled it and I found out how it's actually used let's call it non-maliciously. And that term is Shabbos Goy. And Obama was called that. Elvis was called that. And maybe 5 other famous people were called that. Show the headline just to show it, just real quick. And that means non-Jewish people who worked on the Sabbath, because on the Sabbath, you're not supposed to turn on lights or turn off lights and stuff like that. They have these things that are sort of akin to those people who don't use electricity, the Mennonites and the whatever other people. I forget what those other people are they're Christians who don't use electricity. But those people supposedly helped out, and there were some Indians who did this too. There was like a group of Indians in New York City who were also, in some cases, this this term Shabbos Goy is used as a derogatory name, and in some cases they don't mean it as a derogatory thing. So something that I learned. But Nick Fuentes called him that because he works for Ben Shapiro. Interesting, huh? I may explain it a little bit more later, but I have to get to some calls. Rick in Hampton, Virginia has been on hold forever. Rick, how are you doing?
James, the Hake Report. What's up, brother? Love you, man. Good work.
Thank you. It's good to hear from you.
You too, man. What do you think, man? A lot of people's calling on Trump to concede, man.
Forget them. Forget them. They're the scum of the earth.
I agree.
Yeah. Or maybe not the scum of the earth. They're just weak, which is the same thing. Everybody hates weak people. They really do.
Yeah, because the way I look at it, if they got to prove the case, they're gonna take them time to get all the stuff they need.
Right. Obviously.
I mean, because you got to get, okay, if the machines was messing, you got to prove that the machines was messing up, where they came from, all the people that, said they would testify. You got to get all that.
Yeah.
And, they wanted, it's like they wanted Rush, Biden wanted Rush so he can cover up his dirt, because when they swam in, you can't investigate him, I guess.
Maybe so, yeah, that might be the case. It's crazy.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah, because he keep on running. Concede, man.
You know what? Law and order does not rule in this country. It's mob. The mob kind of runs the country, and it's misled by the mainstream media, by academia, by the like what's her name said, Hollywood. The scum of the earth are trying to push around the country in ways that aren't even true. Law and order is supposed to rule, but they don't believe in it. If law and order ruled, what's her name? Kamala Harris would not even be a senator.
Yeah, I know, right?
Yeah, because I don't think that I personally don't believe that she is qualified or eligible to be a senator, much less the vice president. So
yeah, it's like, because I know she's a pro-socialist person.
Yeah, I mean, aside from her disgusting fake ideology, she's not even a natural-born citizen, I don't think. But anyway, so if law and order were to be the rule, then we would have adhered to it. But no, because she's black, just like because Obama's black, so-called, they don't want to enforce the law against blacks, just like with this voter fraud thing, I say.
Yes, and you know what? You know how just to say, life I used for destruction, all the areas they had problems with Joe Biden gets mysteriously hundreds of thousands of votes was all in black areas.
Exactly.
Milwaukee, Detroit, Philadelphia, Atlanta.
Yep. Great point. And I remember you pointing that out.
Yeah, I guess they're using black for destruction again.
And and you know what? We saw them. I shared a meme on my Instagram and elsewhere where they were electioneering, which is illegal, telling everybody else how to vote. Blacks in Philadelphia. And ballot stuffing, allegedly. Like stuffing, you're only supposed to put in like 3 ballots if you're on behalf of somebody else, right? 3 ballots max.
Right.
But these people were putting 20 or more ballots into the ballot box. That's illegal. That's wide open for fraud and abuse. And you think that they're not going to commit fraud when they commit every other kind of fraud and lie and steal and cheat and cry racism when it's not true?
Wow.
Of course, they're going to do that.
It's just, I hear a lot of professors, like a lot of lecturers when they say like, hey, the conspiracy to kill black boys. I hear that, and first thing they say is white supremacy. I said, to be honest, every race thinks they supremacy. You got the Hebrew idiot lights think they think the black race is the supreme race.
Yep.
Then you got Asians. They think their race is the supreme race.
And they don't even like each other too. The different types of Asians don't like each other, just like the different types of Latinos don't like each other.
Yeah, I mean it's all of it. And that's all I say. What edges do white people have, to see black boys die? They try to struggle to take care of their families. You know?
Yeah, totally.
It's like. I say the number one, like you and Jesse be saying, is blacks need to turn back to God, raise their families, and you'd be surprised how much a lot of this stuff they can turn the black community around.
Yeah, very true.
It's like it's that easy, but of course, we're gonna complicate it because we're angry. And real quick there, James.
Yeah.
Do you think during this election fraud, you think people gonna be going to jail?
Oh. I would be shocked if anybody went to jail for fraud, especially on a election changing fraud. There's some people who have gone to jail for fraud even in this election, or are going to jail or whatever. There's a guy in L.A. who was supposedly illegally registering a whole bunch of homeless people under the same P.O. box, and some of it was not on the up and up, but he was caught, and he's probably going to go to jail. He was a Democrat, I think. But as far as like these people who are committing fraud on behalf of Joe Biden, I can't imagine people really going to jail for doing actual wrong. I see more people going to jail for doing what Dinesh D'Souza did, like targeted selective enforcement of the so-called election law against conservatives. You know what I mean? I say it's because look at who's getting look at who was in jail for how many months? Kyle Rittenhouse for defending himself. It's crazy. So I don't really have faith that justice is going to be served. But I don't know. I like when people do fight for justice. I love Sidney Powell's fight for justice. I don't mind Trump and the other Trump lawyers distancing themselves from her. That's fine. Separate and do the battle on your own fronts. Separate fronts. That's fine.
Do you think she should have called out the Georgia governor?
Yes.
What do you think about that?
I like it. Because that Brian Kemp guy, I don't know him. I don't know him much. You know what I mean? And if he did buy that system, shame on him. In fact, I saw a clip of that British guy from last week tonight or whatever it's called. I'm blanking on that guy's name. But he was calling out the fact, John Oliver. Yeah, exactly. John Oliver. He's a liberal guy. He hates President Trump. He despises real Americans. He's a liberal, right? And he called out the use of these like non-paper ballot voting machines, which I'm not really familiar with it. And he said the way that you keep an election secure is with paper. And he played a clip of President Trump saying the same thing. You use paper so that you can check. And he said Trump was right. And so right on to him for that, saying that, you're leaving it open for abuse and fraud and shenanigans. So
that's all the Democrats use the COVID-19 for, was to change the rules of the election, to make to change the mail-in
very good point.
Voting.
Yep.
That's all they use the COVID-19 for.
Yeah. And it's only really dangerous.
That's right.
It's only really dangerous against the people who are already at risk for problems. It's supposedly, and I believe that Trump said that it's 5 times, or at least at one point he said that it was said to be 5 times as deadly as the flu. But come on, the flu is not really that deadly. So 5 times more deadly than a not very deadly disease is still not very deadly. You know what I mean? But it can be deadly against old people, the obese, the people with diabetes, and maybe some other people who are just sickly. But yeah, it was all fear-mongering and a power grab by sleazy people. Very true.
Wow, because I was thinking, I'm like this too, James. I feel like President Trump, they should show their hand to the day of court. I wouldn't take a chance to meet her twisting it.
Yeah.
What do you think about that? You think
they would try to they would try to twist it. I don't mind her withholding the information. We'll see what she comes out with. But she has been
the Georgia governor's name. Do you think he's involved in corruption? What you think on that?
Well, he may not have known that it was a vote switching thing. Maybe he didn't know that part, but he, if it's a vote switching machine, right? But they say that he got a kickback. She says that he got a kickback for this system, getting the system. If he didn't, so maybe, I don't know. We'll see.
I probably wouldn't have said that yet either. I probably wouldn't have said nothing to the day. When President Trump never going to court,
Yeah, we'll see. I don't know.
You don't know when they're going?
I don't know when they're going to court. We'll see.
Now,
but
what
Rick,
about I'm sorry. One last question to James.
Go for it.
Hey, what if they don't have this resolved by Inauguration Day?
I don't know. It's going to be interesting. Yeah, we'll see when we get there. I appreciate it, Rick. It's good to hear from you, man.
Y'all can be blessed. You too. Bye-bye.
Take care. Let me get to Ian real quick out of Martinez, California. He wants to talk about Kyle Rittenhouse and the Black Rifle Coffee Company. Ian, how are you doing? Long time.
The Hake Report.
Nice. It's good to hear from you.
Yeah. Shout out to that shout out you gave me a while back. Even you were wondering about how I was doing, and just letting you know that because I heard it. I was listening to you, but
right on.
I haven't called in a while. I've been busy. But dude, what's funny about this Black Rifle Coffee Company is I just ended my club membership.
Oh yeah, in response to this?
No, a couple weeks ago before this.
Okay, and why?
Because I ended up getting enough coffee from them, so I didn't need to keep because you can when you become a club member, they have that monthly shipment to you.
Okay.
So I ended up stocking up. I had enough, so I was like, well, I don't really need them anymore. So it was like kind of like spiritual through God, you know?
Yeah.
Like you didn't. It's one of those moments where you don't know something more is meaning to it. Has more of a meaning to it.
Yeah. I mean, I don't blame you guys for. I don't blame anybody who used to support them or patron them and wants to boycott. I don't necessarily support any boycott against them because I don't like to be too quick to turn on these people who are just show any sign of weakness. But it was a sign of weakness. It was pretty disgusting. I was annoyed by it. Shame on that.
Yeah, shout out to
boycott,
JLP
divestment, and sanctions. BDS against Black Rifle Coffee Company. BDS, BRCC. What were you saying?
Yeah, shout out to JLP for first bringing up the story. I had no idea.
Yeah. Isn't that a shame?
It happened over the weekend. I wasn't aware of it.
Yeah. Yeah, it happened over the weekend because on Friday, Kyle, I believe it was Friday, maybe it was Thursday, he got out of jail, right? $2 million bail was what his bail was. And they raised enough money to bail him out. We the people, I guess. I didn't donate to him. I might. But Kyle Rittenhouse finally got out of jail. He shouldn't have been in jail in the first place, but he's still charged. He's still facing charges. But he was wearing a Black Rifle Coffee Company t-shirt, and Elijah Schaffer took that as an opportunity to promote them, and they said, oh, we don't want to be associated with him. He's too controversial for defending himself. It's such a shame. So weak.
Yeah, that's a contradiction.
Yeah.
Because the guy, I watched the owners, one of the owners, the co-owners video on Twitter, and he was saying, we support the Second Amendment. We support the Constitution.
Right.
And we believe here at Black Rifle Coffee Company that you are innocent until proven guilty. And I'm like, well, wait a minute. Why wouldn't you support the guy that is representing all three of those things?
Yeah.
The guy would be dead if he hadn't have defended himself.
Right. Yeah. And I'm so glad. I'm happy that he was there. I think he had the right to be there. I don't know if it was ill-advised to be there, but he definitely had the right to be there with a gun, and he had a right to defend himself. And those people who were there to riot and to attack him, or even to chase him down thinking, oh, he murdered somebody. No, he did not murder anybody. But even those people who may honestly have thought that he murdered somebody, they didn't have a right to chase him down themselves and try to grab his gun and get themselves shot and killed. That's their own dumb fault. And I don't honestly think that any of those people were honest, peaceful people who attacked him, because they were Black Lives Matter supporters, scum of the earth. Blind, brainwashed people who had no business being out there, part of a riot. Those were rioters. And one of the guys, I think, threw either a bag or a Molotov cocktail at him and chased him and grabbed at his gun and said, shoot me, N-word. And he got what he asked for. So, anyway, I got to run. Ian, it's good to hear from you.
Yeah, thanks for taking my call. I'll keep back up with you over the week or next couple weeks.
That sounds good, man.
Yeah, because I want to let you. I want to let you in, and the callers know that, or the listeners, excuse me, about what's going on with Martinez.
Okay, yeah, I'm looking forward to hearing it. Take care, man.
All right.
I'm sorry to Chris from Wisconsin and the rest of you guys. I got to end. TheHakeReport.com for my stuff. JesseLeePeterson.com for Jesse's stuff. Enjoy the rest of your Monday, guys, if you're listening to this on Monday. Take care.